Imagine waking up and your own legs doesn't look like your legs anymore. You press a finger into your leg. The dent just stays there. By the next day, it's worse. Your face is puffed up. Your chest feels tight. And when you look at your newspaper, the numbers or letters look blurry. Like something's wrong behind your own eyes. You go to the hospital. You are not the only one there. This actually happened. 1998, New Delhi. By the time doctors figured out what was even going on, over 3,000 people were in hospital beds. 60 never left. Nobody got attacked, no bomb, no virus, nothing. It was not spreading person to person, but every person was infected. Whatever was doing this was already inside them. Something they had eaten, sitting in their own kitchens, in food they had cooked 100 times before with no problem. And this was not even new. The exact same nightmare had happened before, over 100 years earlier. And it took the smartest doctors in the world more than 60 years to figure out what was happening and what was killing those people. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how a swollen leg in 1877 and a swollen leg in 1998 are connected by a secret that might still be sitting in a kitchen near you right now. It's 1998. Let's slow down and actually walk through what happened in Delhi, because this is where our story really starts. It's the middle of 1998. Delhi is a city of over 10 million people, and in the space of a few weeks, hospitals across the city start seeing the exact same pattern of patients walking in. First, it's the stomach. Nausea, loose motions, general discomfort, the kind of a thing you would brush off as a small stomachache or food poisoning. Nothing alarming yet. Then it gets strange. The legs start swelling, not a little puffiness, actual visible swelling, tight and shiny. The kind of swelling doctors call pitting edema, where if you press your thumb into the leg, it leaves a dent that takes a long time to bounce back. It generally occurs in heart patients, but those patients were not having any heart problems. Then the swelling climbs, ankles, calves. Then it starts creeping up toward the trunk. Some patients develop a strange reddish discoloration on their skin, and the swollen area will be slightly warm to touch. And then it gets dangerous. Fluid starts building up around the heart and lungs. Patients start struggling to breathe. Some go into full right-sided heart failure. Their hearts literally can't keep up with the fluid overload happening inside their own body. And on top of that, some patients develop glaucoma, a sudden spike in pressure inside the eye that can cause permanent blindness, all tied to the same underlying process, wrecking their blood vessels everywhere else. By the time the outbreak burns out, official numbers say over 3,000 people were hospitalized and around 60 died. Now here's the thing that should be freaking you out already. This wasn't contagious. As I already told you, nobody was catching this from anybody else. There was no virus spreading from person to person, which meant doctors had to ask a much scarier question. If it's not spreading between people, what are all these people sharing? Once they traced down the answer, it came down to something as ordinary as it gets. Cooking oil. Yes, specifically mustard oil. One of the most common cooking oils in North Indian kitchens. Somewhere in the supply chain, whether through a natural mix or during harvest or through someone deliberately cutting cost, the mustard oil going into people's kitchens had been contaminated with oil from a completely different plant. That contaminating plant is called Argemone mexicana, commonly known as the Mexican prickly poppy, or in some parts of India it's called as Satyanashi. It's a wild weed with bright yellow flowers that grows all over huge parts of the country. And here's the problem at the heart of this whole mystery. Argemone seeds look almost exactly like mustard seeds. Same size, same shape, almost the same color. During harvest season, when mustard crops are collected from the fields where the weed also grows wild, Argemone seeds can get accidentally mixed in with mustard seeds. Sometimes it's accidental contamination, and sometimes far more disturbing. It's deliberate, because Argemone oil is cheaper to produce. Some illegal traders have been known to deliberately cut real mustard oil with Argemone oil to increase their profit margins, knowing well what it could do to the people who eat it. That Argemone oil contains two toxic compounds, sanguinarine and dihydrosanguinarine. These are not gentle toxins. They attack the walls of your capillaries. the tiniest blood vessels in your body, making them dilate and become dangerously leaky. Protein-rich fluids from your blood starts pouring out into the surrounding tissue, which is exactly why patients swell up the way they do. All because of two molecules hidden inside a seed that almost looks like mustard seeds. By 1999, doctors in Delhi already had a name for this condition and a known cause. This was not some brand new medical mystery nobody has ever seen. Epidemic dropsy had a history, a long one, which means somebody at some point in the past had already fought this exact same battle and won. So why? Over 100 years after it was first discovered, was it still killing people in the capital of India? To answer that, we have to go back, way back, to a city that doesn't even go by the same name anymore, under a government that doesn't exist anymore, dealing with a disease that at the time nobody on earth had a name for. (1877) Calcutta. It was British colonial India. The doctors running the hospitals back then, even with all their confidence, still didn't understand a lot about how disease actually spread. A doctor named Leon starts noticing something strange. Patients coming in with the exact same symptoms: swelling, that same tight, shiny edema in the legs, the same terrifying progression toward heart failure. 4 cases initially, nothing that looks like anything documented in the medical literature of that time. And then it doesn't stop. More cases start appearing. Doctors across Bengal start reporting the same pattern. Nobody has a name for it yet. Nobody knows what's causing it. Back then, doctors were mostly focused on infectious diseases: cholera, malaria, plague, the big killers of 19th century India. But this new illness doesn't behave like any of them. It's not spreading through dirty water. It's not carried by mosquitoes. It doesn't look contagious at all. And that scares the doctors, who are used to tracking outbreaks by following who infected who. Here's where it gets even stranger. In 1878 and 1879, thousands of laborers board ships in Calcutta, bound for sugar plantations of Mauritius. And soon after, cases of this exact same pattern start appearing there too, in a completely different colonial medical system, run by a completely different empire on the other side of the ocean. 2 different governments, 2 different sets of doctors, both staring at the same terrifying illness, both coming up with the different half answers. Neither one able to explain why it had suddenly followed a boatload of laborers across the sea. For decades, this disease just happens. It shows up in Bengal, it shows up in Bihar, Orissa, Assam. It becomes something colonial doctors simply learn to recognize by its symptoms without ever understanding its cause. Patients get treated for the swelling, for the heart failure, for the glaucoma. But the actual source, the actual reason why healthy people are suddenly collapsing into this state remains a complete blank. It takes until the 1940s, over 60 years after Dr. Lyon's first 4 cases, scientists finally isolate it. Mustard oil contaminated with argemone oil, carrying those same 2 toxic chemicals and damaging people's blood vessels the exact same way, decade after decade, without a single person understanding what was happening to them. Case closed, mystery solved. Nobody would ever have to go through that again. Here's the thing that we should be worrying about. Solving epidemic dropsy in the 1940s didn't end it. It kept happening. Delhi, 1975. Delhi again, 1983. And then the big one, 1998. Even that was in Delhi. The one we started this whole story with. In a country that had already known the exact cause of this disease for over half a century. This was never actually a medical mystery. Not really. The real mystery is not what causes epidemic dropsy. Science had answered that question in the 1940s. The real ongoing mystery that nobody has ever solved is why the exact same poisoning with the fully known cause and a fully known prevention keeps happening again and again, generation after generation, right up into the modern era. Because the actual root cause was never the weed. It was never really the seeds accidentally mixing during harvest. Definitely not in most of the major outbreaks. The real cause, the one that survived colonial rule, survived independence, survived 60 years of published medical science, is money. Argemone oil is cheap, mustard oil is not. And somewhere in that long chain, between farm and kitchen, someone, a trader, a middleman, a supplier, keeps deciding that a bigger profit is worth the risk of poisoning people they will never even meet. That's the main cause. The same outbreak happened in 1998 and the same outbreak that happened in colonial Calcutta turned out to be the exact same crime committed by different hands generations apart for the exact same reason. That's money. This story is really not about a medical mystery. It's a story about how knowing the cause of something and actually stopping it from happening again are two completely different battles. And in India, that second battle has been going on quietly since 1877 and it's still not over. So here's the honest truth. The prevention is simple. Proper regulation of edible oil supply chains, better quality testing, stricter enforcement against adulterations. And yet, outbreaks have continued to be documented in India well past the year 2000 in cities including Delhi, Gwalior, and Lucknow. So, the next time someone tells you a mystery has been solved, ask them the harder question: solved for who and for how long? Was finding the cause an actual solution or preventing it?